Nick Underhill at Nick_Underhill. NewOrleans.football is the site. Nicky boy, what's going on, man? Thoughts and prayers. I know you got to be a bit upset here as mock draft season is finally coming to an end.
Oh, it's not over. We still got like 2 more days, 3 more days to do it. So yeah, there's more to come. Yeah, there's more to come, man. This is like the coup de grace of mock draft season. Like this is the penultimate moment of the final mock draft.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that's big.
Love where your head's at, Nick. Absolutely. How many times will your pick for the Saints at 29 and or 40 change from, let's go back to Sunday night until Thursday around 5 p.m.?
I think I'm kind of locked in on one guy at this point. So I'm gonna say none. Yeah. I'm gonna go Brian Brzee, I think, in my last mock draft, and I'm gonna stick with him the rest of the way. He just kind of feels like the only guy on the defensive line that they might be able to get in that 29 range that is going to be able to come in and help right away. It's not a project. You know what you're getting. I like the fit. I would probably even maybe move up to like 20 for him if I had to. I just feel like they have to get somebody on the defensive line. And if you go, Miles Murphy might end up being a good player, some other guys like that. But, I just want to see them get somebody they can bring in that can play right away and contribute as a rookie. And it feels like Brzee might be the guy that's able to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Brzee kind of gets an unfair rap. I mean, think of all the things he had to go through off the field a year ago with his sister tragically passing away, and he had to miss some games, and he missed time away from his team, and then came back and tried to play like the next week. And obviously, I mean, that's going to weigh on you. I mean, you go back to the tape 2 years ago, and you see a bona fide first-round pick. I still think those traits are there, but last year, like the situation that he was in, Nick, it's hard to fault him for maybe not having the same type of year.
Yeah, and he had some injuries, too, that he battled through as well. So if you go back and you watch, and I was just watching him more yesterday, and it just kind of like clicked for me. I was like, this has to be the guy. This has to be the guy that they go after. There are a lot of good plays, and he's really good in the middle of the field. And that interior rush is hard to find, and he looks polished. And like you said, I think if you go back and you keep going back, there's just more and more and more quality that you come upon. And, you're looking at that range, and I haven't really been that excited about this draft because I haven't been able to get excited about anybody because it just felt like, well, they aren't going to be able to get anyone that they need that's going to immediately help. And maybe they'll get a decent player, but I don't know if it changes the fortunes this year. I think someone like Brzee might a little bit. I think he would really strengthen the defensive line. But whether it's interior or edge, they got to get somebody that can come in and give them like, interior, the number doesn't have to be that high. On the edge, maybe like 6-7 sacks. Like they're just missing something. If you can get a guy on the interior that gives you like 4 and consistent interior pressure and helps create for other players, I think that could be all the difference in the world for, a Carl Granderson. Maybe let him get into some easy plays. Maybe Peyton Turner get into some easy plays. I think Brzee, even if the numbers aren't necessarily all there compiled for him individually, his impact on that line, I think, would be pretty significant.
Yeah. That interior defensive line, I'm not talking to you, Nick. You obviously know this, but to expound on that for people listening, that interior defensive line, they do the dirty work. They're the setup guys in a lot of cases. If a quarterback cannot step up in the pocket, it becomes a million times easier for the end to turn pressures into sacks. I mean, just think about playing quarterback. It's just so tough to deal with wash and people in your face. It just disrupts everything. Is Trip, so look, New Orleans on Football is a site. It is so worth the subscription, y'all. I love how John O'Barnes put it in his video the other day. He was like, come on, you didn't think I was going to pick that? New Orleans on Football site. You think I paid for the site for no reason? Like, nah, I'm going with the boys. What about, is Mike Triplett agree with you on Brzee, or is he somewhere else?
Yeah, I think he does kind of agree on Brzee. I think maybe he even got to Brzee a little bit before me. He's kind of been, Tripp has been steadfast on it has to be interior defensive player. He doesn't want anything else at 29. And I kind of gave a little pushback on that, but like I don't know, like we're kind of getting into those final hours. Maybe I should have respected my elders a little bit more and just followed in line with him on that one. But I don't disagree. I just think it needs to be a defensive player. And all things being equal, of course, like if you have the doomsday scenario where there's no one left and you have far and away an offensive player graded higher than everyone else, by all means, walk that path. But if you want me to lay out like the perfect draft manifesto, I think it's somebody that can help on the defensive line at 29 or higher in the first round. I'm not against trading up if you get somebody that's a difference maker. You just can't miss if you do it. And then The other thing I would do, I'm not that worried about the offense. Like I would go trade for someone. Like if you can make a trade for, I don't know, Hunter Renfrow, that wouldn't be a bad outcome. Like getting somebody else on the offense another way. There's ways around it. If you have to give up one of those picks in the first 3 rounds, maybe to move up, or if you can go all defense those first 3, that's great. Like go get somebody else. I mean, there's guys out there that are still available that I think could help your offense a little bit, whether it's trade or signing. So there's other options there, but I just think that you have to make that investment in the defense, especially on the defensive line. Like it's best to come through the draft. So however you got to do that. I know people hate trading picks. I'm never against it. I'm against it when it doesn't work. But one way or another, like you got to pay someone a ton of money, or you got to be aggressive in the draft to get your guys, because these players are not cheap on the defensive line. Like you just have to pay a lot of something, and that's going to come at the expense of something else. And if you want to be a team that signs Derek Carr and keeps trying to be good and keeps trying to make the playoffs, your options in the draft to improve your pass rush are always going to be restricted. So at some point, if you do have a Brzee and he is sitting there at 20 and you're feeling itchy about what other people might do, it's not a bad idea to go up and attack it and make sure you get your guy. Just it can't be a Marcus Davenport situation in that scenario. That guy has to help you consistently for at least the next 5 years.
All right, Nick, if this plays out this way, what would you give this draft grade? If you take Bryan Brzee at 29, Darnell Washington at 40, and Tajay Spears at 71.
Oof.
I like it. I like that draft a lot.
Sounds like I think dream for sure.
It is. I might actually
where
go
they're rated though.
No, it is. It is. But I'm saying like me, I'm very I'm not draft agnostic, but I don't dive like fully in. Yeah. Like to me, I'm like, hell yeah, dude. I mean, you get the D line, you get a giant freaking tight end, and then you get the running back that we all are in love with. That's a New Orleans hero. Yeah,
like throwing it up to Washington is like just throwing it at his chest, like just he's winning every jump ball. Like the dude is humongous. Yeah, I think he would be great in the red zone right away. I think probably a little bit of development there overall as far as being a pass catcher, but I think in those restricted areas of the field is where they needed a ton of help. I think he would change that right away. I love Spears' game. I think he's fantastic. I expect he's going to be great in the league. I just wonder if 3 is a little early for that. There's some stuff, I think with the knees that people are looking at a little bit. So we'll kind of see how his draft stock comes together. But if you're telling me that he's healthy and able and all that stuff, and he is right now, just, long term, whatever they're seeing in that medical, if they're comfortable with it, I would love to take him at 71, not just for the player, but just also the story. Like it's a great story. He's easy to cheer for, fan favorite, all that stuff. But whether it's him or someone else, if you could go Brzee, Washington, running back in 3rd or 4th, like that would be a really, really good outcome. I'd like to see another defensive player somewhere in those first 4 picks. I just feel.
Forget defensive guys. Nobody cares about them.
I just feel so uncomfortable about like the front 7 depth overall. Like if a linebacker gets hurt, who's playing? Like, there just needs to be something else in the pipeline, I think, there, and you could always add to that pass rush.
Yeah, who do you think's realistic? Sorry, T, to cut you off. Who do you think's realistic, though, in that front 7 at linebacker, maybe in the 3rd round? I mean, another Tulane player, Dorian Williams. I mean, he's kind of somewhere in like that 4th round range. Like, would you wait to the 4th round to get a player like that? Or would you maybe use that 3rd round pick? Because when you look at linebacker, after Jack Campbell and Drew Sanders, there is a little bit of a dip before you get to a guy like Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
Yeah, and then like Henley and Overshown from Texas. Like there's a handful of guys that I think you can wait a bit and get someone that could come in, maybe be depth. Ivan Pace is out there. There's a handful of guys. The guy from sometimes you just got to take the shots. But yeah, look, I think they can wait on linebacker, get some linebacker depth. I don't know if it's necessarily something you need to attack. If an opportunity exists and you want to do it early, great. But I just want to see somebody else in that pipeline that maybe you're trying to develop. That is one position that I think out of all of them, if you just kind of laid it out, the development at linebacker has been outstanding the last several years. Mike Hodges, I think, is someone that's going to probably be a defensive coordinator sooner than later, just based on his resume of bringing players up. So if you want to take advantage of that and just take a shot on someone 3rd, 4th round, I think it's fine to wait until them 5th. Even DeMarco Jackson's still on the team too, so maybe we're overlooking him a little bit. Just because he was I think he was on IR last year, but maybe he's ready to go too. But until you kind of see that production, it just kind of looks like a 2-man race with Werner and Demario Davis. And as great as Werner is, he's been hurt each of the last 2 years. So just one more guy at that position, I would feel much, much better about it.
Nick, I'm going to watch draft day this Wednesday to get ready for Thursday. So looking forward to that. I will report back to you. Real quick before I got another question, but real quick, what do y'all have coming up at the site this week? Like, how are you going to be covering the draft? Just let everybody know.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of write my draft manifesto, the stuff that they should be doing and the best outcomes and how they can attack it and what I think would be the best setup for the team. Just kind of, the ideal scenario. And then we'll have another mock draft. Mickey Loomis talks this week, so we'll have something on that. We'll have a podcast probably Wednesday or Thursday previewing the draft, and film study after every pick, analysis after every pick, kind of taking you to the who and why and where of each thing that happened. And then starting May 1st, our podcast goes 3 days a week. We hired Brooke Kirchhoffer from WWL. She's going to host it. So a little different vibe, different look for us. And that's what we got going on.
Yeah, man. Very exciting stuff going on in New Orleans on football. New Orleans on football is the site. Sign up, man. There is not better Saints coverage in the ecosystem. Nick, I move away from the draft for a second. And I know you tend to approach these things more level-headedly than maybe we do. But Sean Payton, again, had some comments talking about how the Broncos analytics are light years ahead of where the New Orleans Saints are at. Now, it doesn't change the fact the Broncos have the second longest non-playoff streak in the NFL at 7 years now. They still drafted Paxton Lynch and everything else. But. What's your interpretation of those comments? Is this just trying to hype up the new spot? Are the Saints actually behind in this regard? How do you take those?
Well, I don't know what he said. I'm going to have to go look it up. But it's interesting because Sean hired everybody.
Exactly. So, that's what we said. Like Stanley Jean-Baptiste. Like that was Sean, like that, all that, like the pre-Ireland drafts, like going after Jarvis Bird and everything, all these things. Yeah. The analytics didn't help then, did it? Now I just sound like the old man yelling about analytics. Jesus, this is what breakups do to you.
I do know the guy that runs their department, Brian Herman. He has been more involved in just kind of the stuff that's going on since Sean left. I think his role changed a little bit. So, I think everything operated in that building the way Sean wanted it to operate. But that's just such a weird statement to make. Like the Saints were at the forefront of the S2 cognitive test that you hear everything about. I wrote a story about it in 2016 or 2017. Like they were the first team using that. That's the test that CJ Stroud apparently got 18% on or whatever that everybody's talking about to evaluate quarterbacks. And that was something they were doing before everybody else. So I don't know. Like I guess Sean's been in both places, and maybe the place that he went to that he wasn't building found the better way to do analytics, and now he's seeing that. But I think that's a commentary on him as much as anybody else, because the Saints did what Sean wanted them to do. Very, very odd comment.
It's getting aggregated right now, Nick. Like all the stories are being posted from like 30 minutes ago, like an hour ago. But yeah, he said they're on a different level here. Whatever, Sean. Make the playoffs. Bum. Derek Carr's coming for that ass. Jake, you got anything else?
I will not be watching draft
what?
day. I'm sorry.
We gotta learn about Bo Callahan.
I mean, maybe one day. Maybe just for Nick, I'll watch it one day.
God.
Look, I think maybe we need to have like a live watch of it.
We might.
That would be very fun.
I would actually be down for something
that would
like
be very
that.
fun.
Nick, you're going to be in New Orleans, though. You're not going up to Kansas City, right?
Yeah, no, we'll be here. The team's here. They make their picks. Mickey and DA come out. They talk to us about everything. Players calling. So, yeah.
Oh, man, I remember sitting in that room on airline for like freaking like 10 hours or like 8 hours straight. I hated those days. Oh, jeez. But I did talk a lot about how Oli Kikaha, who was a beast in college. I mean, an objective beast in college. I liked how Oli. Martial arts master.
The original Caden Ellis, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Nick Underhill at Nick_Underhill Nords on football site. Nick, thank you so much, man. You have an excellent day, my friend.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.